In yoga, super grateful that you have decided to get on your mat today to take care of yourself, and I'm so glad that you have decided to do it with me. Today's class is going to be a deep stretch. We're going to focus on low back, hips, and shoulders, maybe a little bit of hamstrings tossed in there. So if you have some blocks, go ahead and grab them. We're going to begin on our backs. Finding a comfortable space to start practice today. Maybe feet together, knees apart. Always an option. Take a deep breath in through the nose. Out of the mouth. One more just like that. Big, full, deep breath in. And let it go. Feel as your shoulders just melt down to the ground, super heavy. Letting go of your morning, letting go of the things you have to do after this practice, and allow yourself to be here in this present moment. Feel the sensations that are happening in the body. See if you can breathe deeper into those places of resistance or tension. And begin to find like an overall softness. Softness in the body, in the breath, in the mind. Maybe shifting to an Ujjayi breath, if that's for you today. Finding those big, full inhales through the nose, long, slow exhales out of the nose with that slight constriction at the back of the throat. Maybe setting an intention for practice today. Finding something you could use a little bit more of in your life, or maybe it's your intention for the new year. And holding on to that intention as we begin to move throughout practice today. Slowly begin to bring those knees into the chest. Take your time. Notice how the low back feels. You might need a little bit of movement here, kind of rocking side to side or circling knees one direction and then the other. And then we'll plant our feet, setting up for bridge pose. So feet are about hips distance apart, fingertips down towards the heels. Relax and open up through the heads of the shoulders. Inhale is going to lift our hips to the sky. Exhale is going to slowly lower us down, belly button to spine, one vertebrae at a time. And then inhale, same thing. Staying with this, or start to take the arms overhead. Slow movements. Back of the neck is super long. You're not bringing up tension into any place in the body. Final round here. Now reversing that, arms are going to stay. And then exhale, arms go overhead. Excuse me. Last few breaths. Then we'll come back into that neutral position here. Ground down through those hips. Again, either feet together, knees apart, or feet apart, knees to touch. Soften. Find a heaviness. Breathe into this space. Both knees are going to start to pull into the chest again. Take your time. Give them a nice squeeze. Then we're going to hold on to that right knee. Let the left leg fall down to the mat. If that's a little uncomfortable, you can always plant that left leg. Give it a little squeeze, pulling in tight, like rocking side to side. Notice how it feels in that hip flexor, in the glute, wherever the sensation is coming from, right? So then circular movements, rolling the femur head around in that hip socket, one direction and then the other. Notice where the resistance is. Notice where the sensations are. And we'll just do about 2 or 3 more here, just exploring. And then we'll start to make our way over to a spinal twist. Left knee is going to fall to the side. Option, if you're super tight, is to let that knee rest on a block. Right arm opens out wide. Take a deep breath in, fill up, and as you exhale, just soften out and down. Not here to force anything to happen, so we're going to hang for a few breaths. Use those to soften the physical body. Slowly beginning to make your way back to center. Maybe both knees pull in for a moment. Give yourself a little squeeze. And then hold on to that left leg, allowing the right leg to fall down the mat. Give it a tighter squeeze. Pull in. And start to roll it around one direction and then the other. Paying attention to what is kind of showing up physically, emotionally, mentally. Yeah. Keep judgment out of that space. Just find an awareness for where you are right now in this moment. And after you've went a couple directions, we're going to start to take that twist. So the knee's going to fall over to the right side of your mat. Maybe you have a little block to rest your knee on. If you're tight today and that left arm reaches out, find a deep breath in. And then that heaviness here, melting into this space. Slowly bringing yourself back to center, bringing both knees in again. Nice tight squeeze. And then rock forward and backwards until you make your way up to a seated position, or you can rock onto your side, press your way up and bring yourself into that seated position. Finding an easy seat, or you can bring feet together, knees apart. Heart begins to pull forward. Finding a few rounds of cat and cow. Inhale, lifts the heart. Exhale, curl back and in, drop chin to chest, belly button to spine. And a few more rounds, just kind of moving with your breath, forward and back. Explore what's happening. We'll sit ourselves up nice and tall, making our way into a little forward fold from here. So you might want to find some props if you have them to give yourself a place to land so that you can relax. So you find that edge and then begin to soften into that space, really using the breath to deepen. Releasing the head, the neck, the shoulders. You got about 3 more breaths, so see what you can let go of. Take a little scan from the ground up, and then notice where you're kind of holding on to some resistance, and just see if you can let go of it, so you don't have to force it. Just kind of be like, okay, let's try this out. And you may notice a little sense of relief. Our inhale is going to bring us up nice and tall. Take your time. Find that alignment where the crown of the head stacks over the tailbone. And then maybe lean back, plant the feet, windshield wiper the knees side to side. So finding your way into a tabletop, we'll start to either cross at the ankles, roll over them, find that table, or slide the legs around to the side. You can set those blocks to the side. So we move into tabletop, shoulders stack right on top of the wrist, hips right on top of the knees, lengthen out through the top of your head, lift your belly, and become super active in this space. Lengthening out, start to move through some cats and cows here. So you might have a little bit of a different range as you move through this one compared to the seated ones. So again, tap into what's happening in the physical body. Allowing judgment to fall away, just awareness. Then we'll begin to tuck the toes. If you haven't already, starting to walk your hands back so you can sit on your heels. So this might be where you stop today. If you want to, you can begin to bring yourself sitting up on top of these heels and notice the sensation here. Finding a stillness or a gentle rock side to side. As we're stretching at the bottoms of the feet, again, as I talk about it so much, don't force stuff to happen in your yoga practice because what we practice on our mat, we take off of our mat out into the world. So if you're forcing your way to do these things in your yoga practice, you're probably translating that into your life as well, forcing your way through things. So if you begin to bring this ease and this effortlessness, or I guess it's not effortlessness because we are really putting effort into this, but there's an ease about the way that you approach yourself more with love and kindness. And I'm just trying to distract you from paying attention to your feet right now. Hope you're still doing okay. Take a deep breath in. Let it out. And come back into that tabletop. Untuck those toes. Give them a little tap, 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 tap. Shake it out. So from here, moving into, let's see, what are we doing? Hips and hamstrings. Let's do a little bit of a spinal balance. So right hand is going to reach forward, left foot straight back, and I'm going to rotate to face you as we move into a awkward airplane. Your leg is going to go to the left, arm to the right, lift up through your belly. Yeah, and then find a gate pose. Land that foot to the side. Sweep your hands high. Hip presses forward. And we'll find a side body stretch. Right hand comes down to the ground or to a block. Left arm reaches up and over. We'll play with some shoulder opening here. So as we have this alignment in our body, take a bend in this top elbow and then maybe start to lift that head up towards the ceiling and back down towards the ground, and just kind of notice what's happening in the neck and the shoulders. No forcing, lengthen. Look up. Down. Last one. And down. Inhale's going to lift us up, belly button lifts, arms to the sky. Start to turn those toes out to the left, and we're going to shift into a little bit of a hip stretch. So it can be up here, kind of exploring what's happening. You can start to come down to a block. Now you can bring that all the way down to the ground. Softening where you can. I hear my animals coming down the hall. Hi guys. Hello. So starting to move into a bit of a hamstring stretch, and this is going to look different from you because you're probably sideways on your mat. But we'll come back into that grounded gait now with the legs straight, and then we're going to shift into a split prep. So take your right toes with you through that transition. Hands start to shift to the earth or blocks, and you begin to get parallel over that left leg. So if hamstrings are quite tight today, you can even be all the way up here. If it's uncomfortable underneath that knee on the ground, slide a blanket underneath it, or you can always fold your mat in half. Hi, Peanut. So each one of these breaths, see if we can soften a little bit more. If you're at your edge, see if you can soften your thoughts, your face, your jaw. Approaching these obstacles and these things that might be a little uncomfortable with love, right? Not seeing them as an obstacle or something that's holding you back, but just seeing it as it just is. And if we send this good energy into that space, then we're most likely going to get better results over time. So starting to practice that in your physical body and also in your mental part of your practice. Right? It's easy to get hard on ourselves for, oh man, I haven't been on my mat in a few days, or I did too much of this yesterday. And instead of settling on that thought or that emotion, because it might still pop up, but shifting back into compassion and kindness for yourself. As I'm telling myself the same thing right now. So I know you're sideways on your mat. Let's bring you back into, let's see, how do we want to get here? Let's go back into our grounded gait. So walk those hands. Yeah. Coming into our awkward airplane. Back into your spinal balance. I'm going to kick my wall. And that tabletop. A little bit of movement here in the hips. Shake it out. Then we'll find our spinal balance to the other side. So it's going to be left hand forward, right foot straight back. Sliding into that awkward airplane. Lift up, lengthen out tailbone to the crown of the head. And then land in that gate. Sweep the hands high to the sky, lift up, lengthen up, shoulders down, and then move over into that side body stretch. So left hand to the earth or block. Right arm's going to reach up and over, lengthen through the top of the head, pressing into the outer blade of that right foot. So the super long line of energy here. Stay or take that bend in the elbow. We'll play with a little bit of opening, heart opening, shoulder opening. Inhale, lifts the head. Ooh, exhale, take it down. Keeping that core engaged as we do this. There's no dumping, no compensating. And we'll start to make our way back up into that gate. So lift up through that transition, turn the toes out to the right, and shift into your hip stretch. So it might be a little up here today, blocks, or all the way down to the ground. Each side can be completely different too. So try to not get into an autopilot mode and always be in this constant inquisitive mode, right? Like, oh, what's that sensation? What's happening here? You know, what is that attached to or tied to? And then when the funky stuff shows up, you know, come back to that deep breath. Come back to that intention that you set for today's practice. Seeing how you can soften, how you can, again, find that compassion and love for yourself in this moment. We'll come back to that grounded gait. Straightening that right leg. Through this transition, we're moving into split prep. So you're going to take the, goodness gracious, kitty cat down. We're going to take the left foot. Make sure it moves with us. Blocks if you need them. Square those hips. And here we are in this hamstring stretch. So scan through. You know, what thoughts and emotions are tied to this sensation today? Last few moments. My cat is just causing a ruckus. Inhale's going to bring us up. Let's start to come back into that modified variation of gait, hands down. All right, as you land there, awkward airplane lift up, lengthen out. Come back into your spinal balance and land in that tabletop. Take a round of cat and cow, or just kind of shift those hips side to side. And when you're ready, we're going to find a downward facing dog. Scanning across the back sides of the legs. Heels want to melt down towards the ground. Crown of the head wants to be super heavy. If you need to, pedal it out a little bit. So super deep bend in one knee. As you melt the opposite heel down towards the mat. Keep pressing chest back. Lifting up through the belly. Pressing into the pads of the fingertips. And then we're going to just move a little bit deeper into this. So find your edge wherever you're at today. Bending deeply into that left knee. I'm going to start to bring that left knee in towards the center of my mat, like a little twist. And maybe start to look underneath my right arm. Coming back, take a bend in that right knee, look up. And back towards center, downward facing dog. Big full breath in. And out. Inhale's going to rise as high up onto our tippy toes. Exhale, forward fold, top of the mat. You can step, walk, or hop your way there. Knees can be nice and bent as you inhale, halfway lift and lengthen. Hands to the shins, the earth, or blocks. Exhale, fold, drop that head. Inhale, halfway lift. Knees can be bent, belly lifts. Exhale, fold. Last one. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, fold. Start to walk your hands over to the right side of your mat. Once you get there, drop the head down. Two more breaths. Slowly come back to center. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, walking hands over to the other side. Once you find that twist, pull the right hip back, drop the head down. Slowly start to make your way back through center. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise up, tall mountain reach, the hands to the sky. Right hand is going to grab your left wrist, pull to the right for a side body stretch. Come back through center, switch that grip. Exhale to the other side. Inhale brings you back through center. Release that grip. Exhale, forward fold. Empty out all of your breath. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Palm the mat. Find your way back to a plank or a tabletop or modified plank. Exhale is going to lower you down chaturanga or knees, chest, chin. Inhale, up dog or cobra. Lift your belly button away from the ground. And then exhale back, downward facing dog. We're going to move into pigeon pose from here. So sliding your right knee towards the top of your mat, finding balance in between your hips. You might want to slide a block underneath that hip if it's quite tight today. And if this is bothering your knee at all, you can take the variation on your back for reclined pigeon. As you settle in, notice what's happening before you just collapse forward. So take a moment to find that balance in between the hips. Find that place of deepest sensation. Relax the shoulders away from the ears. And then if you would like to, begin to lengthen as you fold. Instead of just collapsing forward, keeping a strong, long spine. Slow down the breath. If you've began to find ease and you want to get a little deeper, inhale will lengthen you. Exhale will soften you. Inhale is going to start to lift us up nice and tall. And rocking onto your right hip, moving towards double pigeon. I'll give you a couple of variations. You're going to take that left leg and stack it on top of the right. So shins want to be parallel with each other. If that's not quite happening today, maybe it's more of this type of situation. Hip. Support, yeah. So here, or we begin to straighten out that leg and find more of a figure 4 position here. Again, trying to find balance in between the hips, not forcing it, but by easing ourselves into it. Shoulders creep away from the ears, staying nice and tall with hands just resting on that left leg, not pushing, or begin to shift forward. So again, I like to move from that place of length from the low back. Pull in through the belly. Maybe use the blocks to rest forearms or head on. And just explore on the way down what's happening in the body. Where do you need to pause and breathe for a moment? Relaxing the back of the neck, the forehead, the jaw. Cleansing breath in. Let it go. Inhale brings us up nice and tall. We'll start to extend out that right leg. Cross the left knee up a little bit more. Plant that foot to the ground if you can. If not, it can be on the inside of that leg. We're going to take a little spinal twist. Left hand reaches behind us, sitting up nice and tall. Right arm reaches to the sky, and then elbow on the outside of that knee. If you're quite tight, just hug that knee towards you and then sit up. Coming back through center, gently unwind. Wind those legs, windshield wiper the knees side to side. Then we're going to cross over the ankles, make our way back into that tabletop, or slide the legs around to the side, back to your downward facing dog. Settle in for a moment, check in. How is this starting to feel in your body? Right leg compared to the left, what's happening? Then we'll move over to the other side pigeon when you're ready. So left knee will slide to the top of your mat. You may need to use props differently on this side. Just make sure that you're checking in with yourself on the way down. Pause in a lifted position for a moment just to kind of feel what's happening here, right? What's happening if you're super leaned over to the left, how can you bring it a little more center? And then if you would like to, start to fold. Landing in this space, soften, right? Use the breath as this tool to just find ease completely, physically, mentally, energetically. Slowly beginning to come back up into your hands. Take your time, rocking onto that left hip, sliding right leg around, finding your variation of double pigeon. It might need to look different on this side. Be sure to be mindful as you move through the body, not forcing, not judging. Folding when you're ready. Relax the jaw, the shoulders. Inhale's going to rise us up nice and tall. Slowly extending out through that left leg, cross the right leg up and over, or on the inside, right? I'm taking that little spinal twist. Inhale, right hand to the sky and behind. Left hand hugs in or elbow on the outside, depending on how you're feeling today. We'll start to come back through center. Gently unwind those legs, plant the feet, little windshield wiper of the knees, side to side. And then we'll start to move back into that bound angle. So feet together, knees apart again. I'm just going to turn to face you guys for a moment. Share the mat with Peanut, right? Then we'll take some side body stretches from here. So inhaling, arm up and over as you lengthen out through that side body. So maybe you're just right here today. If you have this space, you're able to come down or forearm to a block even. Let's see, that's probably where I'm at today. And trying to find this length from the side body here, but also this softness and looseness up in the neck and the shoulder. If you want to play again with that bent elbow, you can. Gently release that hold. We'll start to curl down towards center. We're going over this same side shin. So depending on which direction you went first, doing a little folded side body stretch here. So trying to get those arms away from you as far as you can and grounding back down through the pelvis and the tailbone. Soften. Walking hands to center and all the way back up nice and tall. And we'll move over to the other side when you're ready. Taking that side body stretch. Yeah, first kind of checking in. How can you find the right alignment for you today? And then breathe in that space, right? So from there, and then decide if you want to take that little bend in the elbow and that movement here. Gently releasing that bind. We'll start to come into that side body fold. Slowly walking those hands through center. And we'll make our way up nice and tall. Plant those feet, windshield wiper the knees side to side, and we'll make our way onto our backs. Sitting up for a little restorative back bend here if you like. Sliding the block underneath the sacrum. It's that flat bony part right above the tailbone, so you don't want it up on the spine. Yeah, you want to be able to really rest your pelvis on this block so that you're held and supported. Legs can go wherever they're comfortable. Maybe close the eyes for a moment. Just see how you can release the hips, the hip flexors, the core, the shoulders, the jaw, the chest. Just melt into the ground. And then gently press into those feet. Remove the block. Bring your back down to the ground. Find a place to land for a breath. And then either feet together, knees apart, or feet apart, knees to touch. One hand to your heart, one hand to your belly. Close your eyes. Take a moment. Find gratitude in this space. Find gratitude for who you are right now in this moment. And making your way into a happy baby. Grabbing the knees, shins, ankles, or outer blades of the feet as you pull the knees open and wide, encouraging the low back to be flat on the mat. Shoulders melt heavy. Then pulling the knees into the chest. A little squeeze. We're kind of right back where we started. I'm going to offer you eagle leg twist at the end. But please feel free to take whatever feels right for you today. Right leg is going to wrap over the left. Knees are going to start to fall to the left. Arms opening out wide. The higher the knees are, maybe the deeper it is into your back. You just play with it. Get to a place where you're feeling this a sensation that you can breathe into, a sensation that you know can soften with your breath. So if you're at something higher than that, back out of it, reassess the twist, come back in, and then find some ease. Knees start to come back through center. Gently unwind if the legs are twisted. And start to make your way over to the other side. Maybe left leg wraps over the right. Finding a heaviness in the upper body. Sorry. And slowly starting to make your way back to center. Taking any final movement that you need to take to complete your practice today. And when you're ready, releasing out into your variation of Shavasana, allowing the legs to fall heavy to the edges of the mat, arms away from the sides, or just take up space. Take a few moments here to allow your practice to kind of soak in, settle in. I almost like to think about it as we're absorbing it, pulling it, all that that good intention, that cool energy we just created. And we're just letting it settle into our space. So take a few deep breaths here. Find gratitude that you took time for yourself today. Find gratitude for who you are right now in this moment. That's so important. We can have these goals and these intentions. As I'm filming it right now, it is New Year's Eve. You may be watching this later, but there's all this like excitement to find this, better version of who you are, which is, it's awesome. It's awesome to want this better stuff, but don't forget to find gratitude in this space for who you are right now. That's so important. Namaste, friends. I hope you feel good in your bodies. Feel free to subscribe to my channel. If you'd like to follow me on social media, I'm Kat Harmon Yoga on Instagram. Namaste.